Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. I hope that you have been enjoying this 6-game ladder game series between Larva, the ASL champ, and BarrackS in ASL regular. So far, BarrackS is doing really well. Obviously, he's up 2-0. Honestly, I really liked his build in game 1. I immediately went on the ladder, started using it, got a lot of wins. It was great. But it's been pretty fun so far. I do hope that Larva starts to come back. You know, obviously this is just ladder matches, so, you know, not the end of the world if he ends up losing this series, but I did expect it to be close with a Larva victory, but he's going to have to really pick up the pace if that's going to be the case. We're on Fighting Spirit here for the third map. And they're very close spawns, so we'll see if there's any sort of aggression coming out of either player there. Could be very strong if they do, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Anyways, thank you very much for checking out ArtosisCasts. I appreciate it. I do read the comments and everything and try to respond to as much as I can. So thank you everyone for leaving those, and of course any likes on the videos, very helpful. And if you hit that subscribe button, it makes me happy. So thank you very much, guys. And yeah, if you wanted to support further, there is a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Artosis, and that is down in the comments below, or the description below as well. So thank you to everyone who has supported in that way also. Appreciate you guys a lot. So anyways, we do have a hatchery first coming out of Larva here. Looking over on BarrackS side, well, just a BarrackS. He did get the BarrackS really quickly, so he was optimizing his mining really well, because I noticed it was like a 119 BarrackS. The BarrackS more naturally, if you don't mineral boost, will come up closer to 125. So those little things actually do make a big difference. You know, it's something that you don't really notice until you get to a very high level in the game, but certainly something that I like to watch and see how the pros like to handle that. Now, first scout with the drone by Larva obviously sent his overlord up here and sees there's nothing going on. And he finds this SCV popping out of that base. So you notice that this SCV came out and went over here. The reason for that is to see if there's a 9 pool, right? That's about where a 9 pool would have been at that time in close spawns, because his SCV went to the north, right? He checked, there was nothing here. He started to go this way, and as the drone came, BarrackS basically deduced that Larva should be in the bottom left. So, yeah, that was just kind of like a safety check there. Now, third Marine has been started there by BarrackS. Something I've noticed out of him. A lot of people will skip that third Marine and instead get the command center just slightly quicker, but trying to put some pressure on. And we do have 4 lings being made right now by Larva out of that main hatchery. The SCV will see that, and BarrackS will be able to cut off this attack, right? Like, he's rallying his Marines. He knows that right at this second, nothing can really be there, right? The spawning pool generally finishes around 255, and then you have the Zergling build time, and the SCV's watching, and it's like, okay, well, you're going to have any lings that are made are generally going to be made out of this hatchery, because you need to put drones here, so you make drones out of this hatchery generally, right? So he's got a good idea of what's in here. He sees that there's 4 lings, his 4 Marines coming forward, because 4 Marines will end up beating 4 lings. That's actually right around where the Marines start to beat the lings in smaller amounts. The lings can kill pretty bad. Anyways, let's see how this does, this pressure. This is really good pressure so far. He might... Oh, dude, he already gets a drone. That's huge. He might go behind the mineral patches. Looks like he is going to just target down as best he can, and he is going to end up losing all of these Marines. There is one more coming in. There's Zergling speed on the way. I think this, like, it was pretty good, but you have to make a bunker after this. Notice that once again, he is going for a BarrackS Academy build, and BarrackS Academy can be good, but you have to retain your Marines to make it work. We talked about this in the first game quite a bit. Now, yeah, he is making the bunker, but he's not quite ready yet, so these lings might be able to kill those Marines before they pop in, which is generally just huge. Okay, 1 gets in, so that's actually really important. He hides the other Marine up here. And we'll end up taking out 1 ling there as well. This is very annoying stuff, and there's so few units here for BarrackS. You know, this is the tricky thing. It's like, well, you want damage. If this wasn't a BarrackS Academy, he would already had 2 BarrackS, and he would already have like 4 more Marines right now and easily clear this. But instead, he sacrificed. It was like double greed, right? He sacrifices Marines to try to hurt Larva, but also was teching super fast with low units. So definitely getting a bit punished here. And you can see he's focusing on delaying the eBay. That's going to allow his mutas maybe a window where there aren't turrets. More Zerglings coming in from Larva. He's going to get up here and try to kill the Firebat. Ooh, the Firebat pulls back to a medic, and that's a great block as well, blocking some Morlings. And look at that. He's focusing again on that engineering bay. This is pretty huge, okay? The Spire is finished. You need to start your missile turrets as the mutas are hatching. And I don't think he's going to quite hit that deadline here. So let's see. The Lings continue to harass a little bit. Look at that. He kills the third SCV that's on the eBay. So the eBay is going to finish. Okay, eBay's finished. Mutas hatching. No turrets started. This is a problem. The mutas are going to be here before there's any turrets. BarrackS in a bit of trouble. Starts a turret. Does he have enough Marines? Well, he has like a little handful of Marines and some medics. So if he can get on top of wherever the mutas go immediately, he might be able to actually get his turrets up in time. Let's see. The mutas fly in, and okay, they're going to kill off the SCV making that turret. This turret at the bottom looks like it might finish, so that's really good. This is an especially important one because it blocks those bottom mineral patches that are very harass prone. This one finishing up. Okay, he is getting some turrets up, but I mean, there's been some damage here from Larva. Both sides have taken pretty critical damage. By the way, I want to point out at this timestamp, you'll normally have 30 to 33 SCVs, right in that range. He has 20. Obviously, Larva doesn't have a lot of drones himself. He's sitting at 15 right now. Obviously, you know, he made a lot of Lings in there and took some damage from the initial Marine pressure. So it's kind of a low econ game, but low econ, I feel like, goes towards the Mutalisk user. You can see him abusing this position super, super heavily, taking out just about everything. Look at the SCV count falling. All the Marines starting to go down here as well. And Larva, you know, I generally think of him as very much a late game player, a macro game player. But you can see, at least in this situation, he has done fantastically punishing BarrackS for an overextension on his harassment. So some Lings coming out, more mutas as well. There's nothing in the bunker. A small group of Marines down here trying to hold on. More medics than Marines. In fact, no Marines now. And as these Zerglings come over here, he can just attack the turrets. He could actually come up into the main base. Yeah, BarrackS going to go ahead and GG. It really does come down to exactly what I was saying with BarrackS was on the one racks trying to get the fast academy with it. We saw that in game one, and I talked a lot about how he was retaining Marines, and that was key. Here, he dived with those Marines. He did get damage with them. They did well, but he didn't have units at home to stop a counterattack. So too greedy from BarrackS, and a great victory there from Larva. A fast one, but Larva takes a win. All right, so getting into this fourth game now. We're on Neo Sylphid, and BarrackS going ahead and making a wall-in. He might be going for a quick factory here. I mean, if you're going to wall like this in your main base, generally that's going to be what it is. There's actually a pretty good wall that goes to the natural in this spawn. So yeah, I think we are going to see a very different game out of BarrackS here. You know, maybe just like a... Oh yeah, I think... in fact, this might even be a Zergling tight wall. I don't think so. I think there's a hole here. But that placement makes me feel like he wants to do the double depot on top, which is generally... That area will be Zergling tight, but maybe not this right there. We'll see. Anyways, Larva is going for the fast hatchery, as expected. You know, Neo Sylphid... Definitely a map where Mutalisk harassment, very, very, very good. And it's got an interesting mid and late game, just because of the layout of the high ground bases versus low ground bases. And of course, being a 3-player map, it's a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit more battle heavy, that type of thing. So anyways, we'll see what BarrackS is going to be going for. This is going to be a nice and fast factory, that's for sure. He's not even scouting, just really optimizing that economy. And there you go. He gets like a 222 factory that's really, really fast. And it's off of just a single depot. He's going to go up, make his second depot. And notice he's still mining gas. My guess here, this should be a 2-port Wraith. But it does not necessarily have to be. It can be a Vulture drop. It could be some sort of very weird two-factory play that we have seen just a little bit. That's, I mean, I mentioned before, there used to be a Vessel Rush build, but no one uses it anymore. It's really outdated. It doesn't seem like it beats anything. And based on this factory placement, like, this is very defensive against a Zergling Rush. This is like the way that it's placed, like the Vulture pop here, and you can kind of block against Zerglings coming in, and it doesn't fit an add-on. So, like, this really, really, really looks like two-port Wraith to me. I think that is what we're going to end up seeing. And there's one port. Seeing that second port in just a second. There it is. Second starport gets started. Okay, now we get to see what that micro looks like from BarrackS. This is a strategy that has gained a bit more popularity. We've seen it in the last couple ASL seasons, used by some of the top pros as a mix-in build. These two-port Wraith builds, like even very late into the tournament. Like I think it was 2 seasons ago, we saw JYJ do it against Sulky, I want to say. Something like that. But yeah, it has been mixed in a few times. That wasn't the only one. That's the one that's kind of popping in my mind. That retro game was absolutely amazing. It was like game 7 in a round of 4 or something like that. But anyways, my memory's sometimes faulty. A Wraith on the way. I'm excited. I know that you guys love the two-port Wraith play. Always fun to watch. Is that completely tight? Yeah, I guess it must be. Okay, the Ling comes up and actually sees double starport. Okay, well that's... Obviously the Vulture was supposed to block that from happening. And notice what Larva does immediately. He starts the burrow upgrade. So he wants to be able to hide his drones while they're being harassed. Another hatchery goes down. Now, one thing I want to mention, because I did post a game recently which had two-port Wraith in it. And a lot of people are like, why don't they just make spores? It's not as good as you think, okay? So the reason why Terran can spam out turrets, a turret costs much less than a spore, and also you're making SCVs non-stop, basically, throughout the game, right? Whereas you make a certain amount of drones and you stop, and the drone has to be made into the spore. So a spore actually costs, first off, you have to get the evolution chamber, and you also have to spend 75 on the creep colony, 50 on the drone, and 50 on the morph, right? Oh, by the way, what you just saw there is he was burrowing and he got hit during the burrow, so he popped back up. So I was talking about that before. That can happen sometimes. And really good burrow micro. Like, he's taking a lot of damage. He's wasting a lot of the race time. Anyways, I do want to go back to those spores, because people seem to think that you can just make a bunch of spores, and sometimes people try, but spore coverage is not as good as you think, right? Like, the thing is with turrets... Like, it's not that spores have worse range than turrets, but, like, you know, if I build, like, a turret here and a turret here, this will be kind of defended because this turret's shooting, and if you try to engage this turret, then this turret fires as well, okay? So if you have a spore here and a spore here, this area still gets hit, this area still gets hit. Say you have a spore here and a spore here, well, he can still sit over here and harass, or he can sit here and harass. So the spore defense against Wraith is not as good as people seem to think it is. And if you're spending all that money, let's say you're only making drones, well, you, like, look at this. Notice how he's making Marines. If you're only making drones and spores and he comes out with something like this, you're just going to lose, right? Because you just don't really have anything else. So BarrackS right now walking across the map. This is incredibly powerful still. There is a Sunken here. He does have a fair amount of Mutas and Scourge. Notice that BarrackS has skipped... he's skipped Cloak, right? So he's really just optimized to get out as many units as he possibly can. That means that the Mutas and Scourge are going to be able to see and fight against these Mutalisks. Second Sunken on the way. He's going to start hitting that Sunk, I think. Honestly, I don't think he can attack this. I think Larva's going to be completely fine here. Like, if he had Cloak, I feel like maybe this would look a little bit different, but it's clear that he's trying to go for, like, a very quick kill at the moment. Very nice micro on those Wraiths. The thing is, he's utilizing the Marines. Yeah, that's what it is. He's using the Marines so that you can't just chase. Like, if you try to chase, he just runs over the Marines, and the Marines will start gunning down Scourge and Mutas and add that extra damage in there. You can see some of the glaives hurting them as well. And in fact, he just comes over and says, screw it, we're going to fight. And let's see, like, the Mutas actually are stronger than the Wraiths, by the way. Like, BarrackS is relying on these Marines, and it doesn't look like it's going to end up working. I think the Mutas are just barely going to end up winning this, right? 6. Yeah, in fact, he's going to have more left than even I thought he would. He's going to have 6 remaining here, and he's killed absolutely everything. BarrackS is going to GG. But yeah, anyways, kind of almost an anticlimactic one. It shows you what I always say during these, that the Wraiths do lose to Mutas if the Mutas can see them. But also, I hope that the explanation for the Spores was helpful to some people, because I know a lot of people look at that and just say, wow, man, like, make Spores. And it's not as much of an answer as you think. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed.